Just whenever you get a chance.
Okay.
We should chat.
All right.
Teresa, are you ready?
I'm ready. It's now 7:01 p.m. and I'm going to call the meeting to order.
Okay.
So I think
I can take a quick roll.
Please, that'd be great. Thank you.
Chair Morris.
Oh, I'm here.
Vice Chair Corrigan.
Here.
Commissioner Valadez.
Here.
Commissioner Wang.
Here.
And Commissioner Ye.
Present.
All 5 commissioners are present. Great, thank you. I think our next is Pledge of Allegiance. And I see that we have I was just gonna say.
Yep, just give me one moment. We're just going to have commissioners and staff show their video until it is time for comment, and then we can allow anyone else who wants to comment to be viewable. So for now, I am going to share the flag. Give me just one moment. Okay, and then anyone who'd like to join, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, great, thank you. So I believe that we need to take public comments that are not on the agenda now, if there are any. I don't know if you see any, Casey, any hands. So for the public, if you're listening and you have any comments you want to make, this is your time if it is not on the agenda. So if it's something that's on the agenda, you have to wait until we get to that item, but you are welcome to make any comments for items not on the agenda now. And if you do have comments, please raise your virtual hand and then Ms. Richardson will unmute you.
I don't
see
anything right now. I'm taking a look or giving a moment since you gave direction. No one had previously expressed, other than the email I forwarded to the commission, that they wanted to speak. So I think that we are ready to move on to the first agenda item.
Perfect. All right. And that first item is the minutes, to approve the minutes from our last meeting, which was November. No, it says
Right.
October 12th.
Oh, that may be.
Wait, I have the right agenda up. I have both agendas. So yeah, October 12th. I think we really want it for November. Okay, so
I think that's correct. So I think there's right away there's a typo.
9. Yeah, 2022. We're approving those minutes or
yes,
making a comment, corrections to them. Does any commissioner have any changes that they need to be made to the minutes? Sorry, any concerns, corrections? Looks like not. Okay.
We're talking about the November 9th minutes, correct?
Yes, November 9, 2022.
I have no issues, and barring any issues by anybody else, I would move to approve.
Okay. You need a second.
Do you need a second?
I can second it.
Okay. And then we can just do a quick roll call. Chair Morris?
Yes.
Vice Chair Corrigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Valadez?
Yes.
Commissioner Wang?
Can I abstain because I didn't go to the meeting?
You can. And
I
Commissioner Ye?
Yes, and Casey, I know you care about this on point 7. Park and Lou is missing a dash.
Okay. I will approve those for as long as everyone still agrees with minor corrections.
Yes.
And there's no space between the 9 and PM on their adjournment.
I will adjust. Thank you.
Okay, so we don't need to go back over that for a vote. We're okay with that change. Okay, great. So moving on to the item number 2, we have a dog park evaluation. Am I on the right agenda?
Oh, I do think you have the wrong agenda then.
I do have the wrong agenda. I'm sorry. And give me 1 second. And what I did is save the wrong agenda and clicked away the old one. So
I can forward it to you really quickly if you'd like.
no, I have it. I just have to switch to the screen. Sorry about that. Okay, so I did this last meeting, I think, too. I had the wrong one. So we did the minutes. All right, great. So our meeting dates and council meeting coverage. So it's Director Hernandez is going to take over this and tell us what we need to know about it.
Sure. Thank you, Chair Morris. What I'll go ahead and say about this item, we discussed it, that Chair Morris and I discussed this, and we thought with the change and the reduction in the commissioners that we have here, we probably before the year, the 12-month period of the, well, excuse me, as the year comes to a close. I'm sorry, I'm talking about the wrong item again. Now I'm mixed up. So I went on to the next one, the work plan. Okay.
Between us, we're going to get this done.
Okay, sorry. It's been tough transferring over from the storm stuff. So okay, so meeting dates and council meeting coverage. This is annually put together, so we know meeting dates for the year. And Casey has done a great job of looking at the holidays, non-popular holidays, religious holidays, and such. So we have on those during those times. And what we would like the commission to do is look it over and make sure that works for everyone and bring up any kind of issues or potential conflict on those dates. Also on this, for the coverage of the council, so each commissioner, and I'll hand this over to Casey in just a second to explain how we did this. Each commissioner we expected to cover a council meeting should there be a need for commissioners to attend a council meeting, being that something related to Parks and Recreation is on a council agenda. So, and with that, I'll explain at the end. But Casey, can you go ahead and tell the commission, explain to the commission how you did this?
I can quickly, and then I see that Commissioner Valadez has her hand raised, so I think we'll come back to that just after I give this quick explanation. Each year, I just plug all of the commissioners in order into a randomizer on the internet. We go with the order that comes up with, and then it just goes in sequence and repeats for the remainder or for all of the city council meetings. So that's how we did it this year. If and when we have additional council member, or I'm sorry, commissioners, we will redo the list. So it'll be updated from, you know, April on, or whenever we have new members or there has been any sort of reorganization.
And one last thing in this item is the items that may go on to the council agenda that Parks and Rec commissioners are expected to attend those meetings. In 99% of the cases, I will reach out to the commissioner who is assigned, or at least all to the entire commission, that we would need a representative from the Parks and Recreation Commission there. And that, you know, it's also open to the commissioners to ask me, to reach out to me or Casey to find out if they're needed at a meeting as well, in case they're planning well ahead or something like that. So with that, I think we can take questions if you have anything.
Yes, and it sounds like Commissioner Valadez did have her hand up. Do you still have a question? Okay, great. Please let us know what it is.
So we historically meet on the second Wednesday of every month, but there was an exception in June. Can you explain that?
No, it looks like I just listed it incorrectly.
So can we count on that meeting June 14th?
Yes, so that would be the kind of typo that Manny was talking about. So I can correct that memo. It will be June 14th.
Yay, because I'm not here June 7th because I was planning for Park 14th.
Yeah, in my mind, I was thinking 7 days and went with, yep, that's perfect. But no, it will be June 14th. We do meet on the second Wednesday.
Thank you. And then the last thing on this, if anyone has a problem with attending a council meeting, if something is on their agenda that we need a commissioner there, that can always be worked out with other commissioners to, hey, can you cover me for that? I think everybody's familiar with this, that we have veteran commissioners here. So
So any other questions? Any other commissioners have any questions? I don't see any hands. So I think technically we're supposed to take public comment if there is any on this item. So I don't see any hands raised from the public, but do you see any?
No, we can give them just a second though. They may not have been aware of that.
Okay.
Do you have members of the public that are attending? I'm not seeing any hands raised though, so I think you're
Okay.
safe to move on.
Okay, great. So item number 3, which is the Park and Rec Commission work plan. So it's our work plan. This is on the agenda so that we can touch base, see how everybody's doing on it. And also because we now have an opening since former Commissioner Daly, now City Council member Daly, is no longer with us. We wanted to see if anybody wanted to fill any of the spots that opened due to his departure. And also this is an opportunity to let us know, like, do you need any help? Are there any questions you have about how to get going on your subcommittee projects? It's sort of a time to touch base, say, how are we doing on our subcommittees and how can we move some things forward? So with that, and once again, I need to find the right document, but with that, we can talk about the openings that we now have with City Council member Daly shifting into being a City Council member. So does anybody want to take on, Casey, are you able to share that chart? I think that might be helpful, that we share the chart and we can all see it, and then we can see if
Yes.
we want to pop in to those.
Give me just a
empty
second and I'll
spots.
pull it up as a standalone document, so
Okay,
we don't have
thank
to
you.
shuffle between pages.
Chair Morris, if I might say something. Yeah, thank you. The work plan too, I think this gives us an opportunity to not only that, but maybe even give an update on where any subcommittees are, and going into the at least the presumptive planning for the next work plan that's going to happen, being that this is the end of the 12-month period for the work plan coming up in April. So.
Mhm. Yeah, good point. So we're down to the, kind of nitty gritty of this work plan. And we do have, so I guess, Director Hernandez, I just want to clarify something because we have later on in the agenda updates. So are we going to be muddying the water if people do some updates now? We ought to just focus on the work plan and if people have questions or how they can move forward on it?
We could, I think, I'm sorry to be a little clearer on what I updates. It's maybe discussing item that may not be in the updates, because I mean, we can just do the updates here. Just like you and I had discussed earlier about where we are. And you had said that giving some kind of where we are, if you have any questions type of thing. That's all I was saying.
Okay. So with that, okay, the document, once we get that up, maybe we can fill that in. And then, so commissioners, you kind of hear what we're aiming for, but maybe we start with, if anybody wants to fill in the spots that have opened up. So the, what do we have? We have, it looks like scholarship program. That's Valadez and Daly.
Chair Morris, I'd like to ask a question that should precede diving
Okay,
into the spreadsheet. A process question, if that's all right.
sure.
And that is, when will the council solicit again for commissioners? Because that could have a bearing on whether we leave a spot open for a future commissioner or whether we take an item off the work plan or say we're not going to progress because we don't have enough bandwidth, or somebody actually takes a spot that Councilmember Daly has left open.
So Director Hernandez, I could answer that in that our work plan ends in March and we won't be taking any new commissioners on before that for sure. But I think Director Hernandez needs to answer the question.
Yes.
staff.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Morris. Yeah, as anticipated, that question would come up, and I'm sorry I didn't remember to speak on that, sir. At this point, it is uncertain when council will make the decision to start interviewing again. So I am not aware of a plan, and I can say that it is something that they're definitely going to tackle shortly. So I think they will have a plan for all the commissions and possible commissioner recruitments that are coming up. So, but I don't know what that is right now, so I'm sorry I don't have anything clear. But council will discuss that soon, I think.
So given that we're down to 5, does anything happen if we're ever down to 4? I mean, what are the cutoffs in terms of functionality of this commission?
That too is a very good question, and I was prepared for that. So, so with that, it's really as long as we hold a quorum being 4, commission of 7. So that there are some functions that will just have to be understood going forward. The commission of 7, as far as process goes, anything that needs to be voted on and passed will need 4 members to vote, and that even stands today. So since there's only 5 of us here, we would need 4 votes to pass anything. It's not a simple majority anymore because it's a majority still, but it's off of the original 7, and that would hold true if it went down to 4.
So if we only had 4 at a given meeting, we could still render business, but it would have to be unanimous.
Absolutely.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
So yeah, for our intent and purpose for this evening, this is this work plan. So either we fill in those spaces or we don't fill in the spaces. The work plan has a couple more months. So this, before it's ended. Any other questions from anybody before we get started on this? No? Okay. And that was a great question. Good questions. So Commissioner Valadez, do you have a question or is your hand still up? Still up. Okay. All right, great. So the scholarship program, does anybody want to step in and work with that? And maybe the other question is, does Commissioner Valadez want anybody to join her on that subcommittee?
I would welcome somebody to help. Sorry about that. Something's coming. Sorry about that. I would welcome somebody coming on to the committee, but if nobody wants to or has the bandwidth to, next guy.
Okay, so it sounds like she's okay on her own, but if somebody wants to join, they're welcome to join. So do we have any commissioners who want to join that subcommittee? We plug them in there. I don't see any hands, but I can't see everybody either. So Casey, do you see anybody? You're muted. Okay.
So I don't. I
Okay.
think also during this process, when we have this, the work plan actually displayed, if someone wants to speak, they should probably unmute themselves and just say, I'd like to be on that subcommittee. That would probably be helpful for both Chair Morris and for myself.
Okay. So we have the scholarship, the sponsorship program, and I don't see the rest of the chart. Are you able to
I can.
scroll? It's all our S ones, it looks like. And then we have the Grant Park, the fitness equipment and Grant Park. Those are the other 2. With Grant Park, I know it's Commissioner Ye and myself, and then it was Commissioner Daly. And I'm speaking for both of us, Commissioner Ye, that we're happy having somebody jump in, I'm sure, but we're also in a little bit of a holding pattern with that. Does anybody want to jump in on the Grant Park? I can't see everybody, so I'm leaning on you, Casey, on that one. Okay, so again, yeah, unmute yourself and say that you want to do it. So let's take a minute, see if anybody wants to jump in and put themselves in any of these spaces. And I'm hearing loud nothings. Okay, so I think everybody's kind of happy where they are, which means that with former Commissioner Daly gone, then whoever is in their subcommittee, that's who it is. And if you do need help, I would recommend reaching out to myself, Director Hernandez, somebody to help support you with that. And I'm more than happy to step in and help. Well, the one thing I would say is I would be happy to work with Commissioner Wang on adult fitness if she'd like some help with that. And so I'm happy to move over there and work on that. If that's okay with you, Commissioner Wang.
Happy to have you. This is the
Okay.
year of adult fitness. Manny, I'm looking at you.
That's great. So I'm happy to shift over to that one.
Okay,
Um,
I'll add you.
Okay, thank you. And other than that, so Director Hernandez, I'm sorry, I'm being dense about what else you want us to do with this work plan.
Thank you, Chair Morris. No, I think that basically covers the what we really needed. But what I'd like to put out to the commissioners is looking at the work plan. Let's think about this going into creating the next year's work plan, the 2023-24 work plan. In these assignments that the subcommittees have undertaken, that going forward, is this something that is accomplished? And this is just really a reminder. I think most of you know this already, but what is accomplished, and then what can be ended, and then what carried over to the next work plan that we're going to hopefully complete. And some of those are ongoing, as in, outreach and things like that. But just have those considerations ready. And if we haven't moved on something, is it something we would want to put on a shelf for a while until we get the full, as Commissioner Valadez was saying, once we find out if we're going to fill the other two, or when we're going to fill the other two commissioner spots. So because some of these things can be better handled with a full commission. So just some things to think about. We can bring it back for updates. Feel free to email me any of your suggestions and stuff. And as Chair Morris and I get together to prep the agendas going forward, we can talk about that.
Question.
Yes. Commissioner
So, I
Valadez.
mean, can we have the discussion right now and look at maybe some of our dates we want to push something out? Can we do that right now? And I mean, we're all together. Maybe we should.
Yes, and actually, I agree. And Chair Morris and I were discussing that. I was hoping there would be a little more discussion on this to possibly do that now, if there's a desire, because we have the time. We gave this meeting ample time to discuss these things. So I would say let's open that up if it's okay with you, Chair.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Let's start at the beginning.
Yes. So are you able to scroll? Is that the beginning? Community outreach?
It is.
Oh, okay.
That
Thank
is,
you.
that's
Okay,
the
I
beginning.
was thinking the rest is probably just words. All right, great. So the community outreach we just do. Staff tells us when and we sign up for that. So there, I think that's fine, right? That's just ongoing. Community events. As we're getting ready to discuss this, I'm wondering, would it be possible for us to get a list of the staff that we are to contact for these different categories? So who is it on staff that we ought to be working with for community events or performing arts?
Yes, I think that Manny and I can work on that. That's a very easy list to get you, and we can get you emails and phone numbers.
I think that would be really helpful to be able to move them forward. And then, does anybody else have anything they want to say? I have something to say about those two items, but anybody else about what they think needs to happen on either performing arts or community events? Well, I'm the only one on performing arts. Again, I can't see everybody's hand, but okay,
Yeah,
Commissioner Valadez.
I have a question. For both of these, community events and performing arts, I want to make sure I'm understanding the protocol. It seems to me that Parks and Rec creates this schedule of events, whether they're multicultural events or whether they're performing arts events. And then the commission comes in and says, here's how we can help. Or is it Parks and Rec and the commissioners on these lists get together and kind of look at the plan. And, you know, maybe a commissioner says, what about this multicultural event or this performing arts event? Might you consider putting that on through Parks and Rec? And here's how commissions can help. So in both of those, in the first case, commissioners are just, oh yeah, here's the plan, here's how we can help. You know, Parks and Rec determines everything. But in the second case, there is some opportunity for a commissioner or group of commissioners to suggest a performing arts event to add to any master calendar that Parks and Rec may have. How is it supposed to work? Which one? Which case?
That was the one where we're supposed to drive it and then meet with the staff to discuss it is what my intention was of having the performing arts, particularly, and the community event. So I think that's where we were coming from, was that we as commissioners would say, we have these ideas. It was sort of to help with what the staff already had going and to bring in some other ideas. So that was my understanding of it. And that's why I wanted to keep the performing arts last year, was because I had ideas for that.
Okay, so given that, you know, Parks and Rec has a schedule already of events pretty much for the year already, at least for spring, already set. And I see that Director Hernandez has his hand up.
Yes.
I mean, it's hard for me to understand how that process works. You know, it seems kind of shoot from the hip rather than a kind of a maybe 4 times a year is the commission's opportunity to come and add value to the Parks and Rec annual plan, something like that. I'm looking for a little bit more structure, I guess.
Right. So
to
maybe,
interact with the department.
okay. And Director Hernandez may have a comment on this.
Thank you, Chair Morris. Yes, to answer Commissioner Valadez's question, she asked it in which form is it of the two. I would say a little bit of both. So there is the aspect of what the intent of the, for instance, performing arts, where the suggestions would come from the commission. Hey, how can this happen? Because we can't take every suggestion and do it. Budget limitations, we have location limitations and such, but it is things that we would be open to consider. So that is true. But as you have noted, there are programs that we already have scheduled, programs that we already have budgeted. We have a location for these things. So there are opportunities for the commission to assist us in those things as well. So I think it's a little bit of both, and making direct contact with the coordinators and supervisors who run these programs and plan these programs is ideal. I think that would be a great first step in getting our commission involved in those programs, as well as maybe even not coming up with a brand new idea, but expanding on the programs that we already have, making a different aspect to it, and so on.
Great. All right. Thank you. And I saw Commissioner Wang's hand is up, please.
Just dovetailing off of what Commissioner Valadez was suggesting. I mean, I think some structure, would be really helpful. Like, is there a, time of the year, Manny, where you and your team kind of do your planning and your calendar for the year? I feel like where we could have the most impact on input and just discussion is at that time of year where you guys do your planning. And then we can perhaps join that discussion and talk about what the calendar could look like for the following year and any suggestions, and understand some of the key learnings from, the previous year and what worked and what didn't work, sort of, in a more planful way. Because like Commissioner Valadez, it was hard for me to figure out where to plug in, once there was like a whole schedule of events already. And then it just seems like coming in just to come in wasn't going to be helpful to you.
Yes, Commissioner Wang, the best thing that I can, or the best timing I could probably give you, is the end of the calendar year. And I think that's something, there's 2 ways to look at how recreation programs for the year. One way is reoccurring events. I think everybody knows that in summer, we have summer camps. That's just an example. In the fall, we have the fall movie that we usually run now. So there's certain events that you can pretty much count on being on that calendar. Now, as far as adding to the programs or planning any new programs, giving our coordinators and supervisors ideas on new programs is a great thing to do. And probably I would say the end of the year, beginning of the year, we're talking about December, January, that would be the best time for two reasons. One, we plan for summer, and kind of the summer really kicks things off. You want to have ample time to plan for that, and we would plan for next spring's schedule based on, as far as the next spring schedule, based on the budget. And the budget starts coming into focus in February. So it'd be a good idea for my staff to have those ideas out for me to start working on that budget in going forward. Now, the last few years, I have to say, it was a little muddled because we've changed the department a little bit. We've had COVID, so a lot of things has changed. So we've been adding programs as we possibly can. In fact, we have some more budget requests going forward at mid-year too that will go in front of council. So we may be adding some programs that we've previously clipped off. But though to give you an idea, that is probably a way to find out what programs we're running and to actually interject with our program coordinators right about that time, right about now, as we speak now. It'd probably be a good time to make contact.
Great. Any other questions? Commissioner Valadez, you unmuted. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so it might be nice for us to schedule such a meeting now, sometime here in January, to kind of get a peek at what we've already seen come through the website that's already out there scheduled, but then maybe some opportunities that might open up, before the budget gets slotted.
Yeah, and I'll also say the community events, I remember it came up originally kind of specifically about having a multicultural event where there are different organizations within the community, where we have a event day where different community organizations come together and we do something with that. And that came up, that was a couple of years ago, I think, when that came up. So but what I was thinking about these two is that they could probably be combined. Performing arts and community events almost feels like it could go together, like it could be since I'm on both of those subcommittees, but it did feel like it could be combined just as a conversation if we meet with staff to have that conversation. So I could see that being condensed into one. I don't know how the other commissioners feel about that, but it's an idea I'm throwing out there. Does anybody have any comments, ideas on that one? Oh, it looks like Commissioner Corrigan has his hand up, please.
Yeah, I agree with that, Chair Morris, that it would seem that performing arts might be a subset of events, so it seems like a lot of overlap in sort of programming mode for that. So I agree with you.
Okay, thank you. And did you have any other input into this so far?
No.
Okay, thank you. So I have a question with that conversation and this idea. Do we just hold that idea for when we discuss our next year's work plan and create a combination if that's what we think we want to do? Director Hernandez or Casey, I don't know protocol.
I would say you could do either one. At this juncture, I mean, you're talking about 3 months from now, and presumptively 3 months from now, that this commission would prepare the next work plan. So I think we could probably hold and just, we're writing down these ideas, so we'll bring it up then.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so going with Commissioner Valadez's idea of the to take it as they come, in order. So the Naturescape ribbon cutting, in my opinion, that's not our work plan. We wait for staff to tell us on that one.
Yes, yeah, that'll be the entire commission, and we're waiting for the weather to die down now, and we'll set it up. We fell behind with our work and stuff like that, so it has to wait until the weather clears again.
Okay, great. Scholarship program. Commissioner Valadez. You're muted.
I would suggest that, since nobody else volunteered, and looking at the fact that, how does this relate to budget, Director Hernandez, in the sense that if the way the budget comes down from city council tends to scope what kind of scholarship programs we could derive, then we should meet soon. On the other hand, if you kind of wait to see what they decide to throw towards Parks and Rec, then I don't need to meet with you until after they derive the budget.
Yeah, no, I would suggest the former on that one. Let's talk about what the ideas are. There's a few different ways doing scholarship programs for Parks and Recreation, and we'll be open to the ideas. One of those is, yes, as you're saying, that we can throw money at it and sponsor these things. It's in-kind services as well, for certain participants. It would be, you know, more of a grant thing. And then as well as maybe getting, I used to run a scholarship program that basically sponsored. We'll go out for donations and then fill that budget like that. So there's a few different ways, but yeah, I think the discussion should be now, because if we're looking to fund some of that through our annual budget, we need to talk about it now.
Okay, so does that need to happen in January or February?
I would say by February, yeah. We'll start our
Okay.
budget.
Okay, so get ready for me to contact you then. Thanks.
Everybody's gonna be emailing me after this meeting, right? Already got received. Sounds good.
All the fences, all the work plan stuff. All right, so any other comments on the scholarship program anybody have? Doesn't look like it. Okay, moving on to Jedi. I think I feel like we've made progress on this, and that we are waiting regarding a couple parks that will be updated. And I don't know if Commissioner Valadez, how you're feeling about that, but we did our parks tour last round, and yeah, so I feel like we're in a little bit of a holding pattern on some of that. What do you think?
To the extent that our first Jedi project was the increasing or enhancing the equitable access to our parks, and we did that tour and inventory, and then we threw it over to we worked with Donna to do it, but then we handed our report over, and then that ended up, you know, seeding the resurfacing plan that's going to happen, and down the road, you know, some equipment when they start replacing the playground equipment structures down the road. You know, there'll be heightened awareness of the need for accessibility and equitable access. And I think, in a way, I kind of feel like from our part, that project is pretty much done. You know, now it's up to operations to go off and do their plan on how they're going to replace playground structures, change surfaces, et cetera, et cetera. So if that seems to be reasonable to you and to Director Hernandez, it's time for us to come up with another project.
I agree. Good. I'm glad. I was afraid you were heading towards, we don't have anything else to do on the Jedi, and I don't feel that way. So, okay, great. For the playground, that's what I'm saying. We kind of are in a little bit of a holding pattern on that one, but that we have more to do, or that more that we can do. And so we do need to pick our next project.
When the time comes that the city says, okay, we're going to renovate this park, then I am confident that our committee will then try to get back into that fray and, you know, give our opinion. You know, I understand that it's operational at that point, but just like with anything else, we'll still say, hey, remember what we talked about back when we did this report? You know, I'm sure that's part of your plans, but maybe you're going a different direction. Let's talk about it. And I hope Dr. Hernandez is okay with that level of interaction, understanding that we respect that it's an operational job at that point, under your purview, but that we will still be, you know, wanting to understand what's going on and, you know, making commentary if we would like. Are you okay with that?
Yes, absolutely. That'll be.
Okay. But meanwhile, Commissioner Morris and I need to come up with an altogether new project related to JEDI, and we'll need to do that for this year.
Agreed. I still don't see everybody. Does Commissioner Ye have anything that he wants to say? Because I can't see if his hand is up.
I'm okay to fill in wherever is needed.
Okay. Okay. So so no comments on that. I just want to make sure I wasn't missing you since I can't see you. Okay. Great. Thank you. The other thing I'll add to the JEDI is I'm wondering if we could bring this accessibility, boy, if I could say it would be great. Accessibility expert in, even via a Zoom presentation. Director Hernandez, could we maybe do that? And she presents at CPRS and other events like that, and has a presentation where she talks about how to create accessibility within the park systems. Would that be something? And maybe it's that Commissioner Valadez and I need to talk about that idea, but it seems like it would be a good idea before we start working on the parks for commissioners to have a good understanding of how the parks can be accessible.
Yeah, it's somebody that you know, it's a contact that you have. Or
I did meet her in person. I introduced myself to her, but she presented at the last CPRS as one of the speakers, and I've attended some Zoom discussions that she's done as well.
I would for that question that you have, I would suggest that maybe your subcommittee, if it's Commissioner Valadez, gets together and discusses that a little more in detail.
Okay.
What benefit we could get from actually bringing someone like that in, because I don't know that she'd be willing to come. I don't know where
She'd have to be via Zoom.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah,
I don't
she's
know.
in another state.
Charging for that and stuff like that. So we can discuss it more at our meetings once I get a little more clarity on how we can utilize something like that.
Okay.
Hey, Teresa, is this a salesperson for landscape structures?
She does work for one of the companies.
Yeah,
Yes.
she works for landscape structures.
She's in a
She does,
wheelchair.
but she's not a salesperson per se. She is more of a like a
A closer for the accessibility portion of their sales?
no, she's not a salesperson. She's not a closer. She's more of a strategic advisor, and because she herself is disabled, and so she's very much into understanding what works. So she brings the more human side of the problem solving to their design departments and how they create accessibility into their products. And then also she does a lot of education to the public as well as to agencies, parks and rec departments and cities, city councils and subcommittees like that, to just educate them about the state of the art in general in accessibility. And then she does a lot of case studies. So in installations that they make, then they do feedback. They do monitoring and feedback from the users and from the installers, from not the installers, the agencies that install them, the owners, if you will, and then also the users, the residents and stuff, and then get feedback on systems that work, systems that haven't worked. And then she feeds that back into the product development process. So she's more than a salesperson. She's not a salesperson. She is more on the what direction does the company go in terms of accessibility, and then how do they position their solutions in the most advantageous and productive way for their customers.
So what we can do is Commissioner Valadez and I can talk about this, about whether or not we want to bring her in, and Commissioner Ye, we can find out what her exact title is, because yes, she does work for that company, I guess, Landscape. I believe she does. She works for one of the companies, so clearly she has an interest in the product selling. But my interaction with her and my take when I've watched what she's done, talked about is more about education, and it's really about moving that that conversation forward within our world, you know. So anyway, we can find out her title and everything, and Commissioner Valadez and I can talk about it. And there's one other speaker that would be nice to bring in too, who is a blind woman, so that might be a fun thing too. So more education, so that we know what we're doing when we get to the park plannings, you know, part of it. So okay, so we'll talk about that after. How about the sponsorship program? Commissioner Ye, that's your baby.
Oh, you know what? This was a Pete thing. But you know what? I could follow up with him to see what he had done so far.
Okay, sounds good. So then maybe for the next round, when we work on our work plan, we'll just have a better idea of what we want to do with that one, if it's going to stay or go.
Yeah. Well, also, Casey, are we doing that this summer?
I don't know.
Okay,
For sponsorship?
No, for the summer concert and events.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure exactly what question you were answering. I do believe, and Manny could probably correct me, I do believe we are already working on the summer concert series.
Okay.
What I can speak to is that, as I had earlier mentioned, we are asking for some budget adjustments to add some of our programs back that may have been cut in the past due to COVID or otherwise, and that's one of them. So our that's the plan, at least right now. As long as we get approval from council to fund those concerts, we will go forward with our concert. We will probably know at the first meeting in February.
Could somebody so Commissioner, yeah, you said this was more of a city council daily member. It was more of his idea, because I was going to say, could you flesh that out a little bit for us, you know, what the intent of it was? But maybe the sponsorship program, was it to pay for concerts to be able to take place?
I think it was to help mitigate costs to the city.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I can give you an outline. I think most cities do this, because I know in the cities I used to work for too, previous to here, we would always solicit sponsorships. Companies, businesses, they really are interested in sponsoring high profile events, and the concerts definitely are one of our higher profile events for any city. So that's an opportunity for the city to bring in sponsorships, but we need to, without knowing what amounts, and we have brought in sponsorships, I think up to maybe $15,000 in the past, and as low as $1,000 for the concerts in the past. So, but we don't know how much that's going to be, so we need to fund the program first, and then, you know, see if we can get it sponsored to put that money back in the general fund.
Yeah, and to give everyone kind of like a basic idea of what these sponsors are, like think about what your school kind of probably does. You tend to get real estate agents, dental offices, local restaurants, things like that.
Great. Thank you. So you'll check with Daly and see with Pete Daly and see where you are with that, and then we can talk about whether it moves forward, and then see if there's a need for it. But it sounds like there's a need for it. What city can't use more money? Okay, so market research. We're Commissioner Corrigan, do you want to talk about this at all?
Sure. I think we're largely done with what we had set out to do in terms of recommending an approach to community outreach with this, you know, conjoint analysis and direct mail. And we met with staff, and we proposed a conjoint study for the Hillview Dog Park design. So I mean, Manny could probably update us on this, but the last we had heard was staff was going to kind of run with this from here, use the tool, work with the vendor, do the direct mail, like kick the tires on the process to see if it's a feasible approach. So in terms of this item, I think the key goal out of this is to find out, one, does it work? And two, if it works, then get that incorporated in the budget for the coming year for similar kinds of projects.
Yeah, and that's my understanding of where that's at as well. Although I will say that I am going to reach out to the PIO to see how we're doing on that, and then if they need our help with coming up with some of the questions on that. So we have perhaps a little bit more work to do on that. So I guess, it's still active, I guess is what we're talking about, but it may not need to be there for next year. Because we got it to where we could hand it over to the city.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, we offered to actually run it, and staff wanted to run it directly, and we would support them as needed. So I think they were planning to get to work on this in earnest starting in January. I think they were kind of booked through the end of the year last we spoke.
Right. And if it does work, then if they do, when they do the initial run, and it does work and everybody's happy with it, and the outcome is positive in the way that not that we are trying to get, just a positive, but positive in that it does what it's supposed to do, then it's a tool that'll be used throughout the city, and also could be used for additional park subjects and needs as well. Right, Commissioner Corrigan?
That was my understanding.
Okay, great. All right. So for now, we're in a little bit of a hold. Commissioner Valadez, you have your hand up. You have a question?
Just a question. So if Commissioner Corrigan, if you believe that, if you're stating that your part of the project, i.e. suggesting it is done and it's over to staff, do we have staff buy-in that they're accepting it and going to do a test run?
Yes, that's what we had heard. Yep.
Okay, and that's going to be on the dog park design?
Yes.
And
Hillview.
specifically Hillview. Yeah,
Hillview.
make sure we spell out it's Hillview.
Okay, and then there will be some assessment afterwards saying, okay, this tool was helpful, it worked, we like it, thumbs up, and then we go spend money?
I mean, again, yes, that's the expectation. Manny would have to, Director Hernandez would have to weigh in on that, but that is the expectation. If get meaningful results from that tool, then the city will decide if and how they can leverage it elsewhere, and within Parks and Rec, etc.
Okay, thank you.
Director Hernandez, you've unmuted.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well. I think at this point, it's not a Parks and Rec thing now, because we're talking about public information. So it'll really be their decision that comes down to, but we've talked them into trying it through this Parks and Rec process. And if we do find it helpful, I think that would be our input. If we don't find it helpful, then that'll be our input, but they'll make the ultimate decision at City Hall.
Right. Okay, great. And there may be some steps from what I understand where we help along the way, but it's in their ballpark. So, okay, pop-up activities. It's a keeper. Commissioner Valadez. I mean, I think we're planning to roll forward on that, and we have more things coming online for the pop-up. So, and we learned things from the first one. So I think that one's staying where it is, and we're happy working together on it, is what I'm thinking. And Commissioner Valadez is nodding her head yes. So we're good on that. And if anybody were to want to join, they're welcome to join that, I'm sure, but we're doing fine with the two of us. So, and we are working on our next pop-up, and we'll hopefully have that for you next meeting and be able to tell you what it is and the dates and stuff. We'll see. We're hoping. So, oh, and in addition to that, I spoke with the chair of the Art Commission, and they expressed some interest in perhaps working with us on a pop-up. So there may be some collaborative pop-ups in the future with either the art, maybe even, a different commission. So stand by on that one. Fitness equipment, Commissioner Wang.
Yes, so
Go ahead.
so I was gonna say for last year, the couple things that probably halted this was, one, the budget plan that didn't sort of include anything related to adult fitness in the current year. So then that was, one thing that put this effort on ice. And then another idea was put forward to have folks from different companies that did fitness equipment come and do a talk to the commission about, trends and, what's happening in sort of the world of outdoor fitness within, cities and locations. But the feedback was at that time, it was probably going to give, one company over another company and some potential unfair access to the city. And so that was halted. But in recent conversations with you, Teresa, there could be some new life into outdoor fitness. And so hopefully we can kind of resurrect that. And Manny, I have an email into you to kickstart that process. So hopefully there's going to be some progress made over this next period. So
You said it's the year of adult fitness.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. Director Hernandez, this is a question I'm wondering with with any of the projects, but it specifically came up with this one. Is it helpful to maybe go out and Commissioner Valadez and I did with the accessibility for the parks? Would it be helpful for Commissioner Wang and I and maybe somebody else, like you or whoever you want us to go from park to park or explore the parks as potential places for having the adult fitness, and then creating a presentation of that, like first run it through you and then maybe do it as a presentation? Would that be helpful? Is that how we could move it forward maybe a little better?
I think we should probably talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not sure, since it is now in the plan to replace, and there's been some new developments, which I'll talk with Commissioner Wang about that in the outdoor fitness. But yeah, it some exciting developments really. But yeah, since it's already there, it's something that we go forward with, and I think we're at a point with it that we are with the other playground replacements. It's a matter of now let's put some input in it. We know it's in the plan, and then we'll get that going. And I'll give a little bit of an update on projects later on. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna hold that and think about maybe bringing it along with us into the next work plan. Grant Park facility.
I have a question
Yes, sorry.
on the adult fitness for Director Hernandez. To the extent that the commission, one of the commission's roles is to do community outreach on things, is there any value to you? Even though adult fitness may be more operational at this point, because you're hinting that it may be part of a budget plan in the future here, which is great for Commissioner Wang. But is there any role that the commission could play in terms of gathering community input into, for example, which parks it might be a higher priority based on the demographics of those neighborhoods where adult fitness is a bigger deal for them than maybe at other parks, because the demographics are different, or anything like that, anything having to do with community sentiment concerning the addition of adult fitness to a park. Is that value, or do you believe that you already understand that entirely and you know exactly where to place adult fitness equipment?
Commissioner Valdez, that's a really good question. It's making me contemplate it on the spot. I don't think I can give you an answer to that because I believe that we need to have a little more of a discussion, because as some of you may have come across, former Commissioner Weinberg, now Council Member Weinberg, and actually Vice Mayor, I believe, Weinberg, he put together a packet on this, and he did some research. He understood where this was. It's a project that I had put together at my previous agency, so I did dive deep into it. He dove even deeper, got a lot of information, and there's different models to this. As we know it now, playgrounds. This will just be an example, so you can all take it. and maybe understand a little bit better. The playgrounds, they're in a certain area. We need to keep that to keep the kids playing in this one area. There's safety involved, there's space. The outdoor fitness is not like that, and it can be like that too. The models have changed. The models, as you're saying, the demographics may dictate that, and more so the components. I would not be I would not argue against a fitness equipment component in every playground in the city. So now, whether it's one piece of equipment, whether it's a singular multi-use equipment, whether it's spread out throughout the park like it is at Reseda, I think that that's the discussion we need to have, is what is that model going to look like at each park? Then we can decide if it's going to be there or not. Because I just believe that if kids can go and play, if you can play as an adult in tennis in a park, you know, you should have, if it's available to the city to install, I think it would be a good component and a welcome component that wouldn't disrupt the park in any negative way.
Great.
And I think that's one of the reasons why, you know, I had thought about, you know, inviting some of these companies to come in and talk to us, just, you know, for education, right? Because as you said, you know, the trends might have changed, and the way to think about, you know, the options for installing equipment, there's, you know, a couple of different ways that you can do it. And so, you know, just to take some learnings from, you know, recent projects, or just, you know, industry best practice, I thought would be helpful.
Okay, so maybe we can talk about that, since I joined that subcommittee. Commissioner Wang, maybe you and I could talk about that, and then we can talk to Director Hernandez. Director Hernandez, I want to take Commissioner Corrigan's question, but I also have a question for you. So Commissioner Corrigan, I see your hand is up.
Thank you, Chair Morris. Just a quick observation again. I think there was discussion about, you know, the importance of a fitness equipment at a given park to the demographic of that park. That's the kind of thing that we, if the tool that we're using for Hillview works for dog park design, it's a similar approach that would be used to design it to, you know, do park improvements at any given park. So just keeping, that's the whole thing about trading off the different categories of options like adult fitness, and then within that, what are the most useful adult fitness items to the community. So just raising that, if it could be a helpful process to use this tool.
I agree, Vice Chair Corrigan, that I keep calling Commissioner Corrigan. I apologize for that. So Vice Chair Corrigan, my apologies again. Okay, any other hands raised for this one? I don't see any commissioners. All right. So the Grant Park facility, I think I started to say something about that. We're on hold while we wait to find out, you know, for budget, because there's an update on, no. Sorry. Commissioner Ye, do you have anything to say about Grant Park facility? It's different than the playground.
Yeah, I think that this one, we got to kind of put on the bench by City Council.
That's what I thought too. Okay, so we're a little bit on hold, but the idea was to start working on some of the facility of it. But Director Hernandez, isn't there something being done over there now?
Yes, yeah, and that's something I'm working with a project manager right now. That's another project that we're trying to put together for the electrical upgrades, because the electrical upgrades are going to push everything. So that's the thing that right now, that's why I think this subcommittee and project is put on hold, because we need to make those upgrades first, and then we can go forward. And you know, that's the plan right now.
And then we've not met with the senior commission about this.
No.
But okay. And maybe, so the idea might be when you get in your consultant, I'm sorry, was it a consultant? No, a project manager. When you bring in the project manager, maybe that we'll have a conversation further about that. How we
might actually bring in a consultant at a later date, because it's my, let me just make sure that I'm clear on this. Grant Park facility, to enhance the experience, it's to provide input as needed with the senior commission for that facility, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Project manager and I are working on right now is going to be the electrical upgrade, the HVAC, and the hot water.
Okay,
Those will go on, but that's gonna take a good amount of time with the public process. So, but we're not doing anything for this item at this time because those need to be done first. That's my understanding. Is that correct?
That's
yeah,
my
but that
understanding.
sorry, go ahead, Commissioner.
And Manny, has the RFP been sent out already?
No, we
Okay.
there, we're like I said, we've been short-handed as far as project managers go in engineering. We do have some now, somebody now just came on at the end of December, so I'm gonna be working with him to get this moving, so.
So I think our role on this is what it says. It's provide input as needed. So, and then the senior commission will do the same. So as you need us, we're available.
Yeah, and we're talking about the facility itself, right? We're talking about
Yes.
amenities, we're talking about stuff, not electrical, yeah, because that's gonna get done.
Well, it came about because of electrical, hot water, and other things. So that was where this started, with why this subcommittee was formed, is what I recall.
No, it kind of it started out as the senior some of the seniors in our community needed the kitchen to provide food,
Right.
but it wasn't functioning properly, and the RFPs that went out years ago came back rather high, and then it kind of expanded to include kind of like the playground structure and then the entire park.
Right. Okay.
But right now I think what Manny is dealing with is just the individual structure.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
So there's,
and
yeah, you can't do the kitchen without the electrical, no matter what.
well, but based on the scope of works that you just described, Manny, when you guys do the RFP and those bids come back, can you include a line item, see what it would be to demo the entire building and put a new one up?
I will,
Or
Yeah,
have someone consider it, because the delta on that couldn't be that great.
yeah, I know you and I have talked about that before. I'll talk with the Public Works Director and see what we can do. Okay.
Okay, and Commissioner Valadez has a question. I hold on one sec. I want to do this while I remember. I'm sorry. It goes back to fitness equipment. Director Hernandez, could you share the document that now City Council member Weinberg created? Is that possible for us to see that? Was that made? It was a public document, I'm sure, at one of the meetings.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if he made copies of it and gave it to the commissioners. I know we had one copy here. Donna was in possession of that. It was just a hard copy though, so I'm gonna have to search for it.
I can take a look.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
We can work on it this week.
Okay, that would be helpful, because then we know why reinvent the wheel if there's already some information out there. Okay, and then Commissioner Valadez, thank you for waiting. You had something you wanted to say.
Director Hernandez, you mentioned, you said that you uttered the words public process when talking about that you were going to start working with the project manager to get that grant project going. And then you said public process, or did I completely mishear you? And if I hear you, what do you mean?
If you did hear me correctly, I think I misspoke. I left out a word, public works process.
Okay, got it. Now everything makes sense to
When
me.
you said
Thank
that,
you.
I was thinking, I'm like, I did say that. I meant public works process, so.
Yeah, if anybody's gonna catch it, it's gonna be Commissioner Valadez. She's our eye daughter and tea crosser. All right, so Hillview Dog Park. We're still on track with that. It's still moving forward. So I would say the subcommittee, we're doing our reviews right now, or our visits right now, and taking our notes. And we've met, we've talked about it, and that's where we are with the Hillview one. And then Director Hernandez, do you want to tell everybody what's going on with that briefly?
Yes,
The
okay, yeah.
project man, yeah.
The update, right? So I can just give it now since we're on this. The public process with that, part of that will be the follow-up with the Public Information Office. But for now with that, I am going to work with a landscape architect who has shown interest in helping us start that process. That will happen in February, so all commissioners be ready. That's going to be the main focus of the meeting next month. We'll be talking about the Hillview Dog Park. So hopefully I can have him on board and attend the meeting. If not, he could speak to the subcommittee, but it is something that hopefully Chair Morris and I can talk about in preparation for the February meeting, that we can have some ideas or some process of how that February meeting is going to go, where we can get our ideas down for everything from fencing to surfacing to features, and then hopefully the public will see the meeting agenda, and we'll get some input from the public as well too. So that's the focus for the next meeting as far as the public process. But that's going to start in February, so we can get going. But I need to work with a consultant from one of the architects that said that they're interested in working through that process.
So we're on track with that one. I'm looking at these dates and I'm thinking, well, we're doing pretty well. We're on this work plan. Everybody's been making some progress on a lot of it. So Commissioner Valadez, you have your hand up. I don't know if it's new. It is not new.
No, it is new.
It is new. It went like
the-
this, so I wasn't sure.
I
Okay.
would suggest, yeah, my head pivoted strangely. I would suggest that, of course, we have Brown Act posting rules as far as agenda items, but I would suggest that for the Hillview Dog Park, if we are hoping, if not expecting, public input, that there be some way that staff could do a push announcement far earlier than the public posting requirements for our agenda, so that the public absolutely knows that we are going to hope for their input at that February meeting, and they have time to think about it. They have time to prepare themselves, and we actually end up having meaningful public input at that meeting, understanding that you're not going to present anything any earlier than the packet that gets posted a week prior or whatever, but they can at least have the mindset, put it on their calendars, and make sure that they know that this is coming. I don't want us to ever be accused of not letting the public know with good advance notice that we're going to be talking about something that we all know they're very sensitive about. In a good way too, sensitive in a good way. They care about it.
Okay.
We can definitely see what we can do with that. If not, at least Chair Morris and I can discuss maybe getting the agenda ready earlier, and then posting, and then maybe even posting at the dog park. I think we still have a few contacts with the I forgot what their name was, the group for the Hillview Dog Park, that we can probably go through them to get word out as well.
I do
Yeah.
still also have the entire mailing list of everyone who made a public comment, sent an email, or signed a petition.
Yes, we should send them all a quick
We-
message.
Just so that all the commissioners know, and anybody else who's attending the meeting knows, we do that each and every time a dog topic comes up in our meetings. We let people know. So the staff has been awesome about making sure that those emails go out to all of those people, and that's been ever since we started the dog park discussion and got emails and comments and so on. It's been cold, and that's been done with every single meeting that we've had about the dog park. So staff's been just amazing that way. It's commendable for sure. Director Hernandez, that's going to be a future agenda item. I would like to clarify, but maybe I'll wait until we get down to the informational items, and then I'll clarify something on that. Okay, Shout Park, that's on hold until we get the consultant. And then once we get the consultant or the project manager going, then we'll be brought in on that one. So it's not dead, it's going forward. Okay, does that take us to the end of that's what it looks like to me. Okay, any other comments from any of the commissioners? Any questions for staff regarding the work plan? Anybody need to do anything regarding their work? It doesn't look like it. Okay, I don't see any hands, so great discussion. Great, so public comment? Am I supposed to take public comment after this for this topic? Yes, so I don't see any public to make comments, but perhaps you do.
No, actually, we no longer have any members of the public in attendance.
Our exciting meeting. Okay. All right, great. So moving on then. We would be moving to item number 4, Parks Tour. And Director Hernandez, do you want to take it?
Sure, I'll take it. This item was put on there just to have the commission discuss. I know there's only 5 commissioners, but if the need or the desire for another parks tour, and I don't know if some of the commissioners currently present went on the last tour. I know Chair Morris did. And if the commission thinks it might be helpful that we do this again. And just kind of update everyone on where we are with the parks, and kind of keep the parks plan in front of us and go through that as we go through the town. It takes about 2.5 hours to do an actual tour like that, or if maybe it's just something that we want to mention to the commissioners that they can go out and on their own and talk about these things at a meeting later on. So that's why we put this on. So for any kind of discussion, if we should do this or not, I can help facilitate that if the date and the drive and the explanation. I'm kind of like a tour guide. Last time we did it in 2 vehicles and we're trying to radio back and forth. I felt like somebody at Disneyland on the on the jungle cruise or something. But anyhow, that's out there if the commissioners would like to discuss it or have any questions.
I would love to do that, but I think it's only valuable if you are the tour guide.
And I would say I did it, and I found it very helpful. So it was when I was a new commissioner, and I found it to be extremely helpful to go to each park and to hear what Director Hernandez had to say about each park. So I'm actually the one who asked if we could put it on the agenda, because I think we haven't done it since COVID hit. And so
We haven't done it since I was pregnant, and I have a 3-year-old now.
okay. So yeah. So if people are interested, is anybody else interested in it?
I would definitely be interested.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
And
would love
Commissioner Valadez?
to get Director Hernandez's inputs on each park, the perspective.
That's great. Good.
Okay, so it sounds like there's enough interest. So what I can do is I'll work with Casey and we'll send an email out of a couple of potential dates to see if anyone's available. One question I will have is scheduling the timing for that. Would it be better like after hours, like maybe 5 or 6 o'clock, or middle of the day? Is there a preference for that to get everybody who's interested in going to get there?
If it's
So-
dark, I don't think it's all that helpful.
Yeah, my 2 cents is probably like late afternoon where we can finish before it gets dark.
Okay,
I I would agree.
yeah, we'd probably have to start at 3 o'clock then.
I was gonna say 3 o'clock because it's dark by 5 to 5:30 now. It's a little bit later, but okay.
Yeah, I think the last time we did this, Manny, we went like in the summer.
Summer, yeah, that's why I said that, and I realized it's getting dark pretty quick now. So, okay, we'll send something out for some possible dates, and we'll see if we can get a doodle or something like that. Thank you.
Great, thanks. That's exciting. I think it'll be really helpful too. Okay, so that closes out the items for consideration or action and moves us into the informational items area. Oh, any public comment on the parks tour? Nobody's here, so I'm gonna move
Since
on.
there are still
Okay,
no members of the public,
Right.
you're fine.
okay. I just want to make sure I'm like marking off all those things. Okay, informational items then. This is item number 5, the in-person commission and council meeting. So Director Hernandez, it's you again.
So at some point in one of these meetings soon, probably the next meeting, I'll have a longer update on this one. But right now, I don't have much of an update on this. Council. Well, let me start with the plan for the state changeover that will happen at the end of February. So starting in March, the commissions will need to come back in person at this juncture. The council, it's my understanding the council is still going to have a discussion to clarify how those meetings are done. There still may be some meetings that are done hybrid, as they did yesterday. Council meeting, that was the first council meeting in their new council chambers, or the redone council chambers, that they did hybrid. And they've been doing that for the last few meetings that they had in December as well. So they will give instruction on which which commissions need to go hybrid, which commissions need to go in person, just following that state law, or maybe even open up an option for commissions, certain commissions, if not other commissions, choosing to go and stay virtual. So that's going to be up to council to give that direction. If no direction is given, it's my understanding that by that state law, we have to come back in person. So we'll be planning for a March return. So we'll see. I can guarantee that council will give us clear direction on where we're going with that shortly. So just wanted to give everybody an update on that.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That takes us to our commission and subcommittee reports. So we covered a lot with the work plan, but does anybody have any updates that they want to share with the commission regarding their subcommittee? I don't see any hands. I think we covered quite a bit on the top one. So, okay, great. So then the next are the staff reports. It's item number 7, by the way, staff reports.
Thank you, Chair Morris. A couple of updates. One is the recreation programs playground. I believe I put this on here to.
Oh, one moment. I'm sorry, Director Hernandez, to interrupt you. Council Member Flygore has her hand up.
No, thanks, Chair Morris. I actually wanted to go after Director Hernandez's report.
Thank you. We'll come back.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So to finish out, just quick reports. The recreation programs, playgrounds. That project, as I had stated earlier, I'm working with the project manager. We now have a contracted project manager coming in to help out engineering, and I'll be working. That's one of the 2 projects that they'll be taking on for Parks and Recreation. They're going to start working with us. Basically, all that transfers is what I was trying to do, and with my workload, I was trying to run that project myself. It's been very challenging, and with the project manager coming on, they're going to help us out. So hopefully it will move quicker. So you'll see them come in. They're going to be reaching out to the consultants, to the vendors and stuff, and they'll be coming to our meetings to discuss these things when it comes to the playground. So all that transition is, instead of me running it, they're going to be running it. I just wanted to give an update that is still moving forward. The only other update I have then is, which is not much of an update, but I'll leave it on here until they're in, is the shade structures. We have 2 shade structures ordered. Basically, I still need to pay them, but I'll get that PO to them. They're ordered for the community center here, the small playground we have here, as well as the larger playground over at McKenzie Park. So we'll get some large shade structures. Hopefully they won't get as hot as they have been in the summer, and kids can play on them all year round. So those, I don't expect them in from overseas until probably somewhere in March or April, is what they're telling me. So just wanted to give everybody a heads up or an update on those 2 things.
Perfect. Thank you. So, City Council Member Flygore.
Thank you, Chair Morris. And I just wanted to say hello, Happy New Year. And I'm so excited to be the council liaison for the Parks and Recreation Commission. This is where I started before I was elected to council. So of course, this commission is very special to me. I enjoy the work you do. I have a lot of respect for it. And I know if you ask our community members about the different types of things that the city does for the community, top of the list is a lot of what you guys deliberate about. So very happy to be here. Please reach out if I can help, or if you have questions. And I will just make the joke that we now have 4 or 5 council members who were former Parks and Recreation Commission. And so I don't know what that means, but just know that our commission obviously has received a lot of attention. I know, Casey, because of that. So congratulations, Chair Morris. Congratulations, Vice Chair Corrigan. I look forward to working with all of you and Casey and Director Hernandez this coming year. We have a lot to do. Your work plan looks awesome, and I'm very excited. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And I really want to apologize for not recognizing that you were here and you were new. I'm telling you, everything kind of blurs. And I'm glad you took the time to say that you're here, that you're our new liaison. Welcome to our fun commission. And we appreciate that you're here and that you bring in your experience too, that from being on the commission and being on the council. So yes, kind of stunning that so many park and rec commissioners have gone on to be city council people. So who knows? We'll start putting the goggles out there on people. So thank you. Okay, so that takes us to the request for future agenda items. Does anybody have anything that they want to add to the future agenda items? I don't see anybody. I have a couple things I'd like to put out there and see if there's some interest in it. I would like to bring in a parks accessibility expert and perhaps have them give a presentation in the future. And I'm wondering if there's any interest in that from any of the other commissioners to have that on the future agenda item. Anybody raise your hand? Unmute. Okay, we've got Commissioner Valadez.
I would be interested, and if there are concerns from staff about, giving undue access to particular companies or things like that, I would have two suggestions to try to avoid that concern. One is to invite several companies to come and talk to us, and we very explicitly tell them this is an educational process. Or we go to a university and ask a university that has departments that focus on this kind of thing to come and talk to us.
Great, brilliant. So may we add that to the agenda then? Commissioner Corrigan Vice Chair Corrigan has his hand raised. Is it to make a comment, or were you joining in with the?
I was joining in to agree. And I mean, the other possibility, I guess, not that I don't know the field, but there could always be consultants, right, who are not affiliated with any company, independent consultants, just like a university individual as well. So,
and if I may, I'd be willing to bet that the person who is working for Landscape, who is doing that, is probably a consultant. I'd be willing to bet that.
I know she isn't, because I talked to her about it. She's an actual employee. So we'll have to get all the details, whether she's just whether she's an education arm of it, or if she's actually part of the sales. So like I said, I'll get that information. And if it isn't her, it's likely she knows somebody else who is not involved in the commercial end of it that could do something. So I'll work on that. If people have an interest in it, I will work on this.
Yeah. Now that there are three of you, we have the topic as a future agenda item, and ironing out the details would be between the chair and Director Hernandez.
Right. That sounds good. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Commissioner Wang, I think her hand was up to say yes to that. Okay. And then I think the other thing is it looks like we may be agendizing adult fitness in the future too. So do we want to put that on as a future agenda item now, or do we want to wait until we have something, Commissioner Wang?
Can we wait until after at least we have the initial conversation with Manny?
Sure. Sounds good. Okay. So I don't see any other hands. Nobody waving wildly about anything they want to add to it. Okay. Oh, yes. Director Hernandez.
One thing I do want to possibly have the commission consider, and we briefly spoke about this because we went through the work plan, but with the budget requests that are going forward to council for the concert funding, it's something that's going to have to coincide with that, or I would like it to, is the sponsorships. So I've got my staff, they're going to start work on a sponsorship packet. I would like to maybe have that discussion on how the commission can help us get those sponsorships, either get the word out or have input into the packets as well. So if the commission, if I can get 3 commissioners to say that might be a future agenda item, I mean, we won't agendize it now, but just for the future, I'd appreciate that.
Works. I'm hand up. Okay, it looks like we have Commissioner Wang's hand is up. I have my hand up on that. Anybody else? Okay, Commissioner Valadez. Great. So
I'll leave it as to be determined.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
On the date. Sorry.
Yes. That was clear. Okay. Any other news, information, anything we need to address? I think that takes us to the end of this meeting. So we have 8:30 as our end time. Thank you all so much. It's very great to see you all, and I'm glad everybody's having a good start to the new year. Take good care.
Have a
Thank
good night.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Next time.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Okay.